Staying with health matters now was part of efforts to curtail the high incidence of mental challenges in the country. The national body of the Department of State Services, the DSS, in line with its annual corporate social responsibility, has commenced a week mental health medical mission in Anambra State with the theme Burden of Mental Health, Impact on Wellness and Productivity. The mission, which was kicked off with a summit, brought together youths and other relevant stakeholders in various professions at the Professor Dora Akunyili Women Development Center in Awka. Declaring the summit open, Governor Willie Obiano maintains that the mental challenge transcends obvious madness, but involves unwholesome attitudes that reduce quality of life and holistic solutions, and this must be found.
To understand mental health in the broader spectrum, in the very big sense, not in the narrow, whenever somebody has mental health, the mind goes to mad, quote unquote, people or person. What is beyond that? As a matter of fact, if you take drugs, you're already mentally challenged, for your information, because you're in a different world. So when if you see someone taking drugs, classify the guy as a mentally challenged and treat that guy accordingly, because it's not normal. And we have challenges now, cultism everywhere, in Nigeria as a whole, Anambra, everywhere. We have cultism, youths in drugs. And it's also good that it is the force that is actually doing this.
In the meantime, suicide and suicidal attempts remain a global concern as they continue to have ripple effects on families, friends, and the society. Ahead of the World Suicide Prevention Day 2019, a non-governmental organization and the United Nations Information Center in Lagos have raised awareness of the risks and prevention of suicide amongst young people and the youth, and the need to strengthen collaboration in funding suicide prevention activities.
The walk against suicide by this group of youth begins from the Federal College of Technology, Yaba. The campaigners, made up of students, social workers and celebrities, distribute stickers bearing messages of hope and helplines to members of the school community.
I hear about students who, because of low CGP, commit suicide. Some people over girlfriend. And that's why when I heard about this, I'm like, no, I want to be part of this. I want suicide to stop.
We are doing continual sensitization. We create awareness. We talk to people. We do necessary follow-up. We counsel them. And that has been ongoing for the past 2 years, and we have not stopped.
Suicide prevention remains a universal challenge. In its suicide data for 2019, the World Health Organization reports that close to 800,000 people die by suicide annually, which is one person every 40 seconds. And for each suicide, there are more than 20 suicide attempts. Nigeria ranks 9th in Africa and 72nd in the world, with a suicide rate of 9.5 per 100,000 people. According to the WHO, depression is the most common psychiatric disorder in people who die by suicide, especially between the ages of 15 and 29.
The people in authority need to do more sensitization about mental health. They need to put in more effort into services. They need to also address the issues that resonate with youth. Issues that resonate with youth include employment. It includes even access to education, access to health. All these are fundamental human rights.
From the College of Technology, Yaba, The campaign is taken to surrounding communities.
It has become one thing that we need to pay attention to, because most of us, we've decided to neglect the ones that we love so much due to work or other things that we're doing. Now we want to make the public to understand that people don't want to be neglected anymore. They want people to show them love.
Suicides are preventable. However, much can be done to prevent it at individual, community, and national levels.
The Federal Road Safety Corps Sector Commander in Ogun State, Mr. Clement Oladele, has been given a progress report on the partial closure of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway for repair works. Mr. Oladele, who was a guest on our magazine program, Sunrise, says that eight crashes were recorded in the first week of the diversion. He says the Federal Road Safety Corps has put in place remediation action to reduce traffic time and accidents as the reconstruction continues.
Since we commenced the special patrol to back up the diversion, we've had 8 road traffic crashes. And on Wednesday, we had 2. Then on Thursday, we had 3. 2 also. Then yesterday, Friday, we had 3. And then early this morning, around 3 a.m., there was another one that happened. And we've been able to identify that most of them, they happen within the same area. So we've made remedial actions, and then even the feedback we got from Julius Berger is that they are trying, maybe any moment from now, they will divert traffic from outward Lagos to inward Lagos since they've completed that section. So with that, we won't have that problem, that particular road defect that is causing the problem. Whereas, and also in addition, they're going to put reflective beams so that people that are coming in, they can just see it. Because those ROTCs, they happen in the night. And that is what we keep on telling people, that when you're using a road where there's construction, diversion, road, the National Road Traffic Regulations 2012 says don't go beyond 50 kilometers per hour, and also do not attempt to overtake. So what we do more now is to do more of physical human presence on the highway, to just have visibility, to ensure that our presence alone will deter people. But where you refuse, we arrest you and we give you punishment.
You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's switch over to business news now with Bisi Adebayo.
Welcome to Business News. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is targeting an 8.9 trillion naira revenue this year. Having recorded 20 million taxpayers in 2018, the executive chairman of the FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, sees a jump to around 45 million this year following the success of the tax amnesty program.
There are a lot of little businesses that may charge VAT are not remitted, or may not even be charging VAT. And we're focusing, first of all, on the bigger, larger businesses, especially when you look at the situation whereby the economy has just come out of a recession. We want to make sure that we do not burden the small business owners. A lot of people do not keep accurate books, or do not even keep financials, because the issue of taxation was not really on the front burner, if I can put it that way, for a very long time. So now people are engaging accountants, trying to put their finances in order, and then try to see how much taxes they should pay based on the businesses that they have done. Personally, I believe that Nigeria should review the VAT rate, maybe to 7.5%. I've often said it. That will still remain one of the lowest in Africa. Our neighbors close by in Ghana, South Africa, across Africa, have an average of at least 15% when it comes to VAT.
The governments of 14 West African countries have approved cost-reflective tariffs for power utilities in the sub-region, as well as subsidies to support low-income power users. The approval came under West Africa Power Pool, which is a specialized agency of the Economic Community of West African States, and it covers 14 out of the 15 countries of the Regional Economic Community. The chairman of the group, who is the managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Mr. Usman Mohammed, explains that WAP is working towards operating a single reliable network for member states, including Nigeria, to receive and share electrical power.
My utmost desire as the chairman of WAP is to see a successful and sustained synchronization, a key component of regional electricity market roadmap. This is very, very important because we still have places in West Africa. For example, if you look at places like Sierra Leone and Liberia, the cost of energy in those places are really unbearable. If we can synchronize and connect those places, as we already have lines that are being built to connect those places, we can significantly reduce the cost of energy in those places. If we synchronize the power, the network, all of us will benefit. Because definitely we will have not only a free flow of energy, but we'll also have an economic free flow of energy where we'll be able to reduce the cost of generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity across West Africa.
Market extended losses from last week amidst continued risk-off sentiments and the absence of positive market catalysts. The all-share index ended the week down 1.38% despite opening the week in the green. Traders attribute the loss to negative outturns from midweeks following sell-offs of some bellwethers like Dangote Cement, MTN Nigeria, Nestle and GT Bank, which drags the overall index. The consumer goods and oil and gas sectors were the sole losers, while the insurance, industrial goods and banking indices recorded gains. Analysts expect the market to remain pressured next week due to global risk of sentiment and weak domestic participation. And outside Nigeria, U.S. companies invested $6.8 billion into China in the first half of 2019, and that's despite the worsening trade war between both countries. This represents a 1.5% increase from the average during the same period over the past 2 years. Data from New York-based consultancy group, Rhodium Group, shows a larger part of the investment went into greenfield projects such as electric vehicle maker Tesla's factory in Shanghai, as well as a U.S. fund Bain Capital's $570 million investment in data center provider Beijing Qinhuai. The Rhodium Group figures differ from official data from China's Ministry of Commerce, which estimated that U.S. FDI fell 15% in the first half of this year, and that's down from $1.9 billion a year earlier. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Gimba.
Brilliant, busy, many thanks indeed. The Borno State government wants the Northeast Development Initiative to look beyond the immediate needs of the internally displaced persons and consider durable and sustainable projects. Governor Babagana Umara Zulum told the management of the NEDC that road construction is key to smooth military operations and recovery.
The law establishing the Northeast Development Commission was signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in October 2017 to drive the reconstruction and development of conflict-ravaged areas in the Northeast. A board for the NEDC was approved by the Senate in April 2019, but is yet to commence any project as assessments are still ongoing in IDP camps set up across the Northeast. The intention is to come up with a response that addresses specific needs of the displaced.
The major issue is that of food items. That's what I had across all the camps I met with those in charge. So we'll go back, look at it, and how those issues they raise can be resolved. And also there could be some other subsidiary issues like water, sanitation, all that kind of stuff. So we go back and look at it and see how we can provide succor to their request.
These visits are, however, not new and often received with high expectations from the affected population, with many promises that remain unfulfilled.
What we want is our stay here. We have children. They are orphans and aged. There's no food, no school, no clothes. Their needs are enormous. We need assistance to solve all these problems. Only recently, some women went to the bush. Because of food scarcity, Boko Haram abducted them, about 12 of them. It's the food shortage that forces us to go gleaning in the bush.
The State Emergency Management Agency, who is conducting the NEDC around the camps, is hopeful that these shortfalls would be addressed promptly.
The agency has special department which we call humanitarian department, dedicated to the current issues, the humanitarian challenges that is facing the state. So we know it is for the whole of the Northeast, but since Borno is bearing the brunt, I believe he will respond first to the needs of Borno State and also the other states in the zone.
However, the state governor does not share the sentiments of the NEDC, as he believes that its mandate is way beyond provision of food. According to the governor, sustainable capital projects would hasten the post-war recovery works.
Agricultural produce cannot be easily conveyed to the market because of the existing bad road situation that we have in the state. The issue of mines, planting of mines by the insurgents, is also as a result of bad roads. Having good roads in the state will reduce the problem of insurgency by not less than 50%.
These internally displaced persons look up to the government to provide them basic amenities to keep them going. In order to address their needs effectively, the Northeast Development Commission may need to liaise with other agencies like the Victim Support Fund, as well as the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, to avoid duplication of roles in the face of the humanitarian crisis.
Still ahead on the news at 10, six-time champion Serena Williams trails Canadian teenager Bianca Andreescu in a keenly contested women's singles final at the US Open. That's the sports news. Join us again.